is about having your crew work together. No matter what level you sail at, you want to be able to sail as a group, as a team, be cohesive, have good communication skills. In fact, I do team building on the side with corporations, and it's all about being able to communicate directly, concisely, and having it go smoothly, and having everybody have the same common goal and working towards it. So these teams that are doing very, very well consistently, they are going to rise to the top because they work so well together. And I truly believe they actually like each other as friends as well. They travel and have fun together, don't you?
Oh, yeah. It's definitely like a lot of sports. You know, you see that even in the NFL or the NBA or the baseball league. You know, the teams are all very high-level players. They have a lot of respect for each other. There's a lot of camaraderie off the water that changes on the water, but that's just the nature of team sports.
Okay, so it looks like we have 1 minute to this start of the first race. It's, yeah, we're going to throw to Scotty and Jury on boat number 2, Anna Tunnicliffe on boat number 4, our only Olympic medalists out here. Anna has a great team, 5 women on board. Because they're lighter, they can take 5. Here, we're going to toss to Scotty.
All right, we have Scotty Dixon out there on the water with 45 seconds to go in this match between Taylor Canfield and Nikolai Sested. Scotty, give us a report.
Yeah, 35 seconds to go now, Dobbs, and wow, hurried tack by Sested and Canfield. We just had contact, and there's flags on both boats. The umpires are talking about, I think Canfield might cop this one. No, it's Sested cops the penalty, so the commentator got that one wrong. 14 seconds to go now. I think Sested is late, and he's got a penalty for his troubles. So just perfect boat control by Taylor Canfield, and he tacks one more time right on top of Sested. Sested's claiming for another penalty there. Let's see what and green flag by the umpires. So Sested coming out a little bit bruised after that interchange. He's behind, Canfield in control, and Sested with a penalty. Dobbs?
So Canfield on boat number 8. And Sehested on boat number 7. As Scotty just said, there was a penalty against Sehested. There is an outstanding penalty. And in match racing, you don't have to do your penalty. If you only have one flag flying on that umpire boat, you don't have to take that penalty turn until the very end of the race. Sometimes they choose to do it sooner if they have enough of a lead. They'll do it sooner than that. And if you're sailing upwind, you have to do a downwind penalty, which means you have to jibe. And if you're sailing downwind with the spinnaker, you have to take it down and you have to do a tack. But again, they can wait until the end of the race. What they try to do, though, is try to draw a foul on the other boat. And if 2 boats have penalties, if there's a blue flag and a yellow flag on the umpire boat, then they cancel each other out. The umpires drop both flags, race on. But if they have 2 flags of the same color on board, then the boat of that color has to do at least 1 penalty immediately. If they do 3, as we saw in that first flight, there were black flags. Did we see 2 black flags in the first one, or 1?
Well, yesterday, Annie, we had a black flag with Bill Hardesty, remember, in his pre-start. And then today we had one with Mike Buckley in his pre-start. But what's interesting to me is that some of the folks that we don't talk about out here are the match race umpires. These guys put in about as much physical work. I know it doesn't seem hard. Seems hard to believe because they're riding around in powerboats, but you do this all day long, standing up in a small rib, wheeling around, trying to follow a sailboat. It's physically and mentally quite demanding. So I just want to give a plug for them. The umpires in this match 1 were Glenn Oliver from Santa Barbara and Steve Chopak. I think Steve's based somewhere in this time zone. But those guys have had to make calls at every altercation, and it really, really takes a lot of work. And I just want to acknowledge their efforts.
Well, it's nice that you did it. We do need these volunteers, and we do need the umpires and the race officers. It takes a lot of people to run an event like this, and some are coming on their own dime and coming pretty far to just be part of it. It's really nice. We also have some sponsors we should mention. Wait a minute. Even more fun might be to listen to the umpires live since we've been talking about them.
Yeah, well, we can listen in the pre-starts to the wing umpires. The wing umpires are using language that sounds a little bit arcane. They'll say things like overlap and clear, and then they'll usually give distances in meters. And what that means is they're trying to give the match umpires who are positioned between the boats an idea of what their lateral separation is, fore and aft, or front and back. So it's just basically another set of eyes that are positioned laterally to help the umpires of the match gauge who has right-of-way and who does not. And then if there is a Yankee flag, as Annie's described earlier, that's a yellow and red flag that the competitors have thrown. They are asking the umpires at that moment for a decision. And then the umpires have to be able to know at that time as quickly as possible how to make that decision. So that's just a brief primer on umpiring. We will try to get in on our radio to that. Are we going to throw to Scotty?
Yeah, we're going to throw to Scotty right now. Okay, Scotty, go ahead and tell us what you see.
1 minute to go now, Annie, and it's Laurie Jury, Will Tiller, and the Grand Kiwi battle again, the two boys from Auckland. And Tiller attacks on the starboard, and Jury's going to claim that was too close. Jury already has a penalty from a collision, and there's a blue flag, so that's Tiller claiming that. That was Tiller penalised for attacking too close. There's a second flag from Jury, so let's see what the umpires decide here. That's probably a green, but basically Jury's been penalised, Tiller's been penalised, so we're back to an even count. So there's no penalties outstanding. 15 seconds to go now. Looks like Tiller's going to start ahead to leeward. Jury's probably going to have to tack here in the next couple of seconds. And he sat there too long. So there's the start, and no flags on the umpire boat, but plenty of action. Annie?
Thanks for that, Scotty. And we're 1 minute before the next group to enter, and the next pair that we're going to see is Wilson, boat number 6, entering from our right, but from the port end, looking upwind, and Anna Tunnicliffe with the yellow flag on her backstay, and boat number 4. They will be entering in about 35 seconds, and that means they're going to come from the upwind, and they're going to head down and go right at each other, face to face, between an imaginary line. Between the red mark looking down at the wall and the little white boat with an orange flag, there's an imaginary line. They have to enter from our side of the course, go down, clear across that imaginary line, head at each other. The boat on our left will have the right of way, and the boat on the right will have to give way, and that'll be Wilson trying to give way, and we'll watch them dial up and go right up into the wind, most likely. Here they go. They're starting to enter now. You can see boat number 6. Again, that's Wilson entering from the right. It's kind of light down there. We're not seeing a Charlie red flag, which means they might not be going up to this red mark. They might be going to what the default mark is, the white mark right here off the end of the pier. They'll be coming right to us. We will confirm that, and we will know if they both go to the same mark. As we found out yesterday, 2 of the boats went to the wrong mark, but they both went to the wrong mark, so it canceled out the problem, and the race sailed on. So 6 and 4 down there doing the dance. Go ahead, Dobbs.
No, just giving an update on match 1. It looks like Taylor Canfield has got a pretty substantial lead. He's jibing now to port jibe. He's sailing boat number 8 with a yellow and white spinnaker. His opponent is Nikolai Sested from Denmark, sailing boat number 7 in the red and white spinnaker. They have yet to go around the bottom mark, that big white box down there. That's going to signify their first lap around the course, and they're going to do one more lap. Meanwhile, coming upwind in boat number 2, is that Jury? Yeah, look, tacking away. So the battle of the Kiwis, Will Tiller to leeward, who was to leeward on boat number 1, he positioned his boat in such a way that Laurie Jury could not really stay there. If Laurie had stayed there for any longer, he would really slow down and allow Will to take the lead. Was Will our leader out of the round robin? The first, I think he was.
I believe he was, yes. Tiller was the leader.
No, Canfield was actually, yeah. Tiller was third.
Canfield, Jill. Well, they had a three-way tie with 7 points, but the umpires have to work out all the little nuances of how they break that tie. And Tiller was third out of that tie, but it really doesn't mean anything because, as we're seeing, we're going to keep adding these points together, and at the end of round robin 2, we'll go through all of the points and figure out where they stand.
So very light here, looking at like Laurie Jury. Or Will Tiller getting across Laurie Jury. Laurie Jury went too far to the right, out of the wind, in the lee of Navy Pier, maybe.
Yeah, I would. That's what we've been looking at this morning. Just anybody that comes over to our left, looking out, is in a little bit lighter air. At one time, we've seen somebody make it up, and that was Nikolai Sehested, but he was in a nice breeze and didn't go too far and came right back. And the name of the game in match racing, just like in fleet racing if you're in front of the whole group, is to stay between your component, your competition, and the mark. And again, we are seeing them come up to this top mark. We're not sure which one, but it looks to me it has to be the red one, because if it were the white one, somebody behind me says it's the white one. Okay, it's got to be to the red because they would be way past the line to get to this white mark. So number 1, Will Tiller, sailing very consistently, no matter what the conditions are. He's, as you pointed out, doing a great job, and the wind has gotten a lot lighter. Everybody start thinking wind. Come on, wind. If we all collectively think about it, it could happen. Yeah. Okay, down at the starting, though, we see number 6 and 4. And that
should we check in with our colleague, Scotty Dixon, down there with a few seconds left?
Yeah. The last 2 pairings are Wilson and Tunnicliffe and Hardesty and Buckley. Hardesty is one of the co-founders of this Chicago match race. Okay, we're checking in with Scotty now.
We'll copy that. Thanks, Scotty. Scotty's going to give us a little bit of a narrative from the action with just seconds left in the start of match 3.
That was the starting signal, Dobbs, and it's Anna Tunnicliffe at the boat end on starboard tack and Don Wilson at the pin. Anna on board, Don on starboard, and it's a split tack start, and it's an absolute minefield out here, Dobbs. Massive holes, huge shifts. Anna, you can see Anna's team looking up the course and pointing and discussing the breeze. I believe it's Will Tiller ahead in his match against Laurie Jury, but that one was very close off the starting line, and it looked like Will had a big lead, and then Laurie got a massive shift out of the right, so it'll be interesting to see how Don and Anna come back together here. Dobbs?
Well, if you could you confirm which windward mark they're going to? That is Wilson and Tunnicliffe. We didn't see a Charlie red flag, I think, at their entry signal. Are they going to the white mark?
They are going to the white mark. Wilson and Tunnicliffe had no change signals. The fourth match that is entering now, I can confirm, will be going to Charlie red. Dobbs?
We'll copy that. So fourth match, which is just entered now, Bill Hardesty and Mike Buckley are 2 black flag players. We'll call this a black flag match. They will be going to the white mark. They will be going to the red mark. And then the pair that's coming upwind now, Anna Tunnicliffe and Don Wilson, they'll be going to the white mark. Thanks very much, Scotty. So, Annie, a minefield.
Well, that's what happens when it gets this light, And one of the scary things about getting too far ahead in light air is that the wind can shut down where you are, and somebody has a completely different wind, and it can actually only be 50 yards away, and you can have completely different wind. So, as he pointed out, the minefield mean one of those places where you're not in the wind. A lot can happen, and it can change quickly. And also, Chicago does change quickly. It's been all of our experience. So we're always looking out for that next puff, for that next pressure. And if you look at the 2 boats that are heading towards the pier right here, one of them's near the red mark, and the other one isn't so close. They look like they were in two different winds. The boat on our right was powered up a little more, sailing a little higher towards the wind. They're rounding the mark now. And as we pointed out earlier, when it's this light, you want to have a bear away set, meaning the spinnaker is going to come up on the same side as that mark. And the pole helps hold the spinnaker out and give it shape immediately. They're going actually pretty fast for this light air. Those boats are not slow, are they?
Well, not only that, but it's a huge right shift. I mean, look at their angle going down to the finish line, because this is the final leg for Taylor Canfield, I believe, against Nikolai Sested. And, you know, they're almost pointing at the finish line. So there's been a big right shift here. That's going to really favor the leader in this case. There's not going to be many opportunities for the Danes to dig back. Not only that, but the Danes have a penalty flag.
They do. If you look at the umpire boat that's between boat 8 and boat number 7, there is a yellow flag flying on there, and that is a penalty. That means number 7 has an outstanding penalty. As we described earlier, they don't have to take the penalty until the very end of the race, and if they're this far behind, they don't have to take one at all. But I have to say that Canfield really is doing just a fabulous job today. He's won the first two. I mean, we're going to assume that he's going to win this race. He won the first race and the second race, and he's going to be launching himself up into the top 4. Really, I think after this race, he's there.
Look what's happening with the wind, Danny. They've got pole on the headstay, so the wind is shifted very, very radically right.
Our left looking out.
Yeah, sorry, right up the track. You're right. So it is shifted clockwise. How's that?
That's normal.
Clockwise direction. My guess, it might be associated with some of these clouds that we're seeing come into the area.
I would agree with that, and sometimes you want to sail to the clouds, get underneath them or in front of them, because that's where the next fresh breeze is. There, if you look out on the water, there's some glassy spots. Those are very light patches of air, and with the more ripples or the darker patches on the water, that's where there's more wind. We don't see a lot of either one, really. There's not a whole lot of wind, but interestingly enough, look at Taylor Canfield going for the finish line. He never even turned his boat. He's almost going to lay the finish just on this one port jibe, and I'm not sure why Sehested, who we assumed and has been showing great light air speed, would jibe so far away, other than he was just looking for a fly or something different. He was so far, he was so far behind, he was grasping at straws. But now, up at the top mark, here come the ladies, Anna Tunnicliffe, her team all, I like to say, acting like kitty cats, very, very light. Hey, you know what? Let's get this crowd riled up. Let's give a big cheer for the Olympian and her crew out there. Come on, you guys, give the girls a cheer them on. Every point counts. Working hard, that's Dana Riley pulling the sail up. On the bow, Liz Bauer pulling the sails down. In the back, Molly Vandermoor, she is trimming the spinnaker. That's the big blue sail. And Debbie Capozzi, another Olympian. Oh, we have two boats going around different marks. And I believe it's
Don
not
Wilson
only a bad,
again.
It's a white mark, though. Aren't they supposed to go around the white mark?
Unless there was a change at the bottom mark for their next leg. But maybe we'll throw it over to Scotty down in the pre-start area to see if there was any kind of change. But Don Wilson, once again, being a contrarian, but that's what he does best. And he's been very successful at that at times. But look at the difference in wind direction, too. Anna Tunnicliffe, dead downwind in boat number 4 with the blue and white Urex spinnaker. Don Wilson, her opponent, to leeward, pole very far forward, the boat going very fast on a reach with the yellow and white Urex spinnaker in boat number 6.
We're going to check on that, but we do know that in the 4th pairing it was Charlie Red. They do need to go around the red mark in the 4th group, which is boat 3 and 5. However, this 3rd pairing with Wilson and Tunnicliffe, boat number 4 and boat number 6.
I don't believe there's been a change in course at the bottom mark, but we're right alongside the Hardesty-Buckley match. And Hardesty had a little bit of separation to windward. They both started on starboard, and Hardesty went from 3 boat lengths back and 3 to windward. And he's now 3 boat lengths ahead and 3 to windward. He absolutely just steamrolled over the top of Mike Buckley, and that was an example of one of those very local micro puffs. And the boats are only
we'll copy that. As I say, we're trying to unravel a mystery about these mark roundings because, once again, Don Wilson has gone around a different mark than his opponent. Anna Tunnicliffe really had a substantial lead in her match, came around the white mark. Don went around the red. So we have Annie just checking with the race committee to see what was, in fact, signaled at their start, given that there were no changes down at their bottom mark. So Annie reports that the white mark was the correct mark for match 3.
And that's a bad break. I just did get the confirmation from the race committee that white was the top mark.
Dobbs, I might understand
for
that Don
group number
Wilson
3.
went around the wrong mark again.
That's a Roger, Scotty.
Yeah, that's correct, Scotty. Once again, Don has interpreted. Don and his team have interpreted the course differently than their opponents.
Now I wonder what they had for dinner. We know Hardesty had some raw meat because he's been super aggressive coming out here today, but I'm guessing Wilson's tactician is in deep trouble right now. Steve Hunt from San Diego, a great sailor, Matt Tracer. He's a skipper of his own right, but something's going on that boat, and I think somebody's going to get in trouble.
Well, I don't know, Annie. Maybe it's a deliberate thing. Maybe it's part of some, little thing they have going. Prepare, a little bit of that. Putting the pressure on themselves in preparation for the Canada's Cup coming up. They don't want to be too comfortable out there.
They want to see how far behind they can get and claw their way back. That's it.
That's it.
Well, what's interesting is that after these round robins, we are going to have some leaders and we're going to have some people at the bottom of the group, but we get rid of all the points and we shuffle it up again and start over. So all these points are really for the overall standings after round robin 1 and 2, and then it's really a position. So they can throw out all these points. As long as they can get in the top 4, they'll be fine.
We'll do a throw to you now, okay?
Okay, we're going to toss it back to Scotty, who's got some action for us.
So, Scotty, tell us from on the water what's going on. Mike Buckley's behind. He's got a penalty. He's in the blue and white CME Group Spinnaker. His opponent, Bill Hardesty, with the green and white New Edge Spinnaker in boat number 3. There's a big gap there. Can he make that up?
Well, I was suggesting to you a few moments ago on a private channel that he could, Dobbs, and in the last 30 seconds it's all turned upside down again. So I'm on the racetrack, I'm right alongside the boats, and I'm making my own breeze calls, and I'm obviously not getting all of them correct, but Hardesty has extended. It looks like Buckley was on the edge of really nice pressure, but he was right on the edge of it, and then it almost seemed to breathe out for him again. So Hardesty has just walked away on this one. He did a bear away set, and he'll be laying the bottom mark. And Buckley carrying the penalty. We're not sure what the penalty was for in the pre-start. It might have been entering early or not entering correctly. Not too sure, but there wasn't any incident that we could see. Dobbs?
Yeah, thanks for that, Scotty. In some circles we call that the commentator's curse, mate.
Well, in that case, I'm definitely cursed today. It's let's put it this way: there's nothing certain out here, and the only thing that's constant out here in Chicago is change. So it's going to be a brain-racking, frustrating day for the teams. Dobbs?
Well, very good. Thanks for that, Scotty. We're gonna go back to narration here with Annie, but thanks for that. We'll check in with you shortly.
All right, so the standings after this race, or I should just say the winners of their heats in this second flight of Round Robin 2, we had Canfield, Tunnicliffe, Tiller, and Hardesty. Now there are 2 boats. Well, you're right. 4 and 6 are still out there duking it out. But no, I have to tell you, if they went to the wrong mark, it's over.
We don't know.
We got confirmation from the race committee that boat number 6 went to the wrong top mark. But interestingly enough now.
Yeah, well, Tunnicliffe is still ahead. Look at her dial. Look at her dial. She's dialing Don Wilson down, meaning she rotated the boat so that Don could not get back at her.
We also don't know if they changed the course on them and are sending them to the red mark, but they're both going to the same one, so it doesn't matter. Again, though, if he went to the wrong mark in the first windward leg, then she has won the race, whether he finishes in front of her or not. And if we go by that, then she's got her first win for this round robin, too. She won a race this morning, too, I believe.
Well, she's in the lead now. So Anna Tunnicliffe in the blue and white Eurex Group Spinnaker, boat number 4. Just 4 lengths ahead of Don Wilson, the yellow and white Eurex Spinnaker, in boat number 6. A little bit of a kerfuffle earlier on in this match as to whether they went around the right mark. But meanwhile, we've got another match out there in match 4 with Bill Hardesty and Mike Buckley. They're still coming up the track. Now, notice how the wind has shifted yet again. The wind had shifted clockwise around to coming from the north side of the Navy Pier. Now it's come back around from the south side. It's really flip-flopping back and forth, Annie.
That's what I love about this lake, though. It's all over the place, and it makes you a better sailor because you have to be eyes out. You have to always be looking and anticipating. And one of the beautiful things about match racing is about anticipation. Anybody that sails or races knows they have to look out and look ahead. But in match racing, that's kind of, you put it on steroids. They have to really be anticipating not only what the conditions might change to, but what the other boat might do. So it's a game of chess on the water, a moving chessboard. And as Scotty liked to describe yesterday, and I love this description, the chessboard you're playing, a good friend comes along and just sort of tips the board. So it all gets scrambled up, and you have to figure out where you were and what you're going to do next. But really, it is all about anticipation and crew work, and these guys are great sailors. They're from all over the world, and they're out here in this Grade 2 Invitational off of the Navy Pier. We're loving it. We have 7 races to complete today in this round robin number 2, and we're about to finish the second flight of the 7. So when this is finished, after these next 2 pairs finish, we'll have 5 more flights. So stick around, and we'll have lots of action.
Okay. Well, we're having a good banter on the other channels, not on public channels right now with the race committee and our fellow commentator. But I have to report both Don and Anna have made mistakes. It's hard to believe, but it can happen. We've just proved it. Basically, there was no course change whatsoever, and no, it was the teams were supposed to go around the white marks all the time. But there was enough uncertainty on Anna's team in the second leg, and you can imagine, we've been in these situations, haven't we? What mark is it? Are you sure? Are you sure? And there's that horrible sinking feeling you have, and you're ahead, right? So you don't really know which one, and they opted to stay in front of Dawn, right? Because that's the whole game here, is stay in front of your competition, stay between your man and the hoop. And what did she do?
I think she doubted what her gut was, because all of the first 3, including them, pairs were supposed to go around the white one, I believe, and only the last one was red. So the red flag might have stayed up after they had started their race, the 3rd one. So when the 4th one started, the red one went up, and then they saw it, and then they got confused. But I wish they had sticked with their guns. But what does that mean now if they've both gone around the second one wrong? I was hoping that it didn't matter.
Well, one of the parties, I won't name them, had suggested on our back channel communications that both teams get scored a negative points for uncertainty.
That's harsh. I don't think that's going to happen. I do see a red flag up, which is a
that's
technical flag on boat number 5, and boat number 5
Mike
is Buckley. There's a yellow flag on the umpire boat over here by the red mark following them, and that's saying that number 5 still has an outstanding penalty. They are sailing to the finish. They're jibing right now, and they have to do a penalty to finish this course right. But if they're that far behind, once again, they might not want to do it unless that red flag is something that would throw Hardesty out.
Well, again, what happens with red flag penalties is the competitors alleging that that there was either an altercation with a boat in another match that could not be resolved with a Y flag, or there was some procedural error in the way that the race was run in order for them to try to seek redress from the jury. So
Good
Yes.
luck with that.
Good luck with that. It doesn't always
we haven't
work.
seen it work yet.
And it's actually something that both umpires and organizers don't encourage, because it throws an element of uncertainty into the game and into the format, and it makes it tough on Annie and I, because then we can't give you all some very clear news and very clear results, because it's thrown into uncertainty. So we don't like red flags.
No, we don't.
In any context. So, but Mike Buckley is going to be out there trying.
Yeah, so we'll find out from the race committee or from Scotty if he can go badger somebody again, as he likes to say, and find out what that red flag is about. And go ahead, can you ask him for us? And we'll find out what the outcome is. For now, we did have 3 separate finishes, with Canfield clearly winning in the first grouping of Flight 2. Tiller clearly beating Jury. Wilson and Tunnicliffe, we're not so sure, even though Tunnicliffe was first to finish. When they rounded that top mark, they went to 2 separate marks. Anna went to the right one, Wilson went to the wrong one. He put up his red flag. Then they both went to the red mark. We're not sure if they changed course on them or if she doubted her conviction. So we have to confirm the Tunnicliffe and Wilson. And the Hardesty, Buckley, we're going to confirm that as well. Buckley with a red flag. So we're guessing that it has to do with which mark they were supposed to go to, but Scotty's going to check on it right now. In the meantime, we're going to just give our voices a little break, and we're going to let you know what we find out when we can. Thanks for coming down to the Navy Pier for Dobbs Davis. This is Annie Gardner and Scotty Dixon out on the water.